Today, I'm trying to create a president and what I think that we need in a president by delivering a message to some people located just about 1,600 miles from here because I see future presidential material in all of them. And they're the children of the two most beautiful human beings I've ever met. We face a similar need today as we did back in the Great Depression and World War II. And in our modern politics today, our family unit has deteriorated due to the social media and the financial restraints that conduct how much time we're allowed to invest in our children. Parents are the first beacons of hope to a child that is trying to understand these United States of America. What it's going to mean to the rest of the world as we move forward. Flags, numbers, and colors seem to diminish the pursuit of Lewis and Clark's adventures, as well as the mistakes that were made to become the greatest chance for a happy future that's going to include all of us, not just a select few. Leadership in this country has failed to address issues here as families have broken apart. Lost jobs, lost homes, and broken down as a unit. Our message is how do we prepare to face uncertainty? My friend did this with grace. She did it with humility, perseverance, and she did it with help from people, even though there's never enough help really in a situation this bad. She and her family inspire me to focus more on my community, to focus more on how we can reach out and help these lost children today. Words are a start because they'll design an attitude which projects the foundation of self esteem in our children. We need to watch how we talk to our children. I am a critic of it because I am terrible at it. I try to be funny, and sometimes it's not time to be funny. Here in Warren County, our past uh, could be judged in a lot of the things that happened in the 80s. Our town was run like every other town by voters and politicians. And my extended family and my family now range from outlaws to in-laws and everything else. Um, as like most other families and communities, we had our share of problems, that's for sure. Parents feed our minds as we grow, and they can become consumed by what they see as our future. Um, we are not in control of our future, and neither is anyone else. We can only prepare for it. Um, so if you're heading for a direction, stop for a minute and just focus on becoming a more well-rounded, more prepared, more informed person. And you're going to do better to get to where you're wanting to go than if you listen to other people. Um, we need to allow other people to continue to teach numbers and letters, as some children have dyslexia and we can't reach all children. But what we can do is make them feel like it's okay to let us know, I don't see it the way you do, and accept their differences. I had a sociology professor one time tell me, she said, if everybody in the room says that something's orange, and you have one child say that it's black, and that child's colorblind, is it black or is it orange for that child? And that's a deep question because it's about perception. And I think it touches on a lot of the communication problems we have today. Just because two people don't see it the same way doesn't mean either one of them is right or wrong. It means combined, they have a better vision and a more truthful answer. Every major retailer sells information in our country in the form of buying patterns, credit cards, customer loyalty cards, you name it. And there's a lot of money in it to track people's trends of buying and market to them specifically. Our circle of friends also benefits as addicts funded campaigns and the seized addiction monies that go with it. And in turn, you have sheriff sales, car loans, and investment strategies, which are a lot like the issues that came about with Martha Stewart and insider information as far as being able to get out there and post a bid, at a local auction here in your county or wherever, and to be able to get something at a discounted or preconceived rate puts you in quite of an advantage. We know it happened here a lot in the farming community from 71 down to Kentucky when it came to the old Dusty Roads maps of 71. There was a big to do about it. And you can do your own research on that and find out your own information. Um, Kentucky is a standalone state right now as far as their opinions on marijuana, gambling, and such. A Commonwealth is very different as far as what they're trying to accomplish. And the federal government has a difficult time with Commonwealths as far as trying to get them in line to do certain things. And it's a mixed bag, but it's an interesting bag to go through. You can take things like marijuana cards and the effects that it has on the marijuana industry, as well as the pharmaceutical industry. And there are people who make their living, growing pot illegally. And what happens to them after that? Do they get on welfare, get on the system? Do they find a new avenue to pursue as far as making a living? There's a lot of different variables that go into these marijuana cards and these dispensaries. And a lot of people just, the mentality is, well, I can go buy it at the store. And that's all they care about. Those people scare me because they don't ever see the bigger picture. Um, Indiana brought in a casino called the Rising Sun, and once it was fairly successful, what we noticed here in Cincinnati was Jack's Casino went up, the Miami Valley Gaming Commission went up, and or the Miami Valley Gaming Association, I mean, and we developed CCC in Turtle Creek to do efforts in recovery, um, as well as you know liaison between prison and society. Banks invested in real estate under those roads campaigns once before, and there was quite a stink about it. But a politician is allowed to have that inside information and to invest in. And I think that's a slippery slope when it comes to addiction in casinos because people don't really realize that a lot of your addiction problems will stem from gambling, casinos, prostitution. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with it, as well as the financial ramifications of someone who's a gambling addict. You can be destroyed by it. I've seen it firsthand. It's an amazing addiction. Um, we want to make sure that the playing field is level for everyone, because a lot of times the uneducated, the poor, and the downtrodden on get fed a church, to sort of simmer down their despair, and that's fine, and I think it's needed. Like I touched on earlier, I think it's important to have a Quran or a Bible or something to fall back on as you're um, doing some serious interflections. Um, One question that I have though about all this real estate and those adventures out on 71, 75, 63, 123, wherever you're talking, is The laws have been passed that have decided only politicians can gain and invest before the information is public. Leadership was aware of future political positions as groups were put together that could influence things like those adventures. Um, Once that happens, there's a sense of debt, almost like a lobbyist to a politician. We did this for you back then, you do this for us now. And I think that has to be monitored closely if you really want to make change and reform to lobbyists and political campaign contributions and things such as that. Because those things come back into play at times. And when they do, it disrupts the legal system and the legislative system and the way things are supposed to work if you've got enough money and power behind it. Um, it can also get in the way of justice at times. You can look at things where there's mistakes made over and over again that are overlooked just because of the financial ramifications during an election political campaign. Um, Once we get down into you know the nuts and bolts of government, you go all the way from the governor all the way down to the local mayor and local building commissioners and people like that. Mostly conservative views and conservative votes were represented by pastors, teachers, and politicians here in rural Warren County. Our schools, churches, and businesses became a platform for the elite to represent issues that council should address. Um, we are supposed to separate religious beliefs and help ourselves by growing from an influx of new Americans, people who are new to our central location. Um, there's a great example. I'm not going to use their name, but I used to live in Beaver Creek, and there's a small business there, and they make you feel so much a part of their community, and it's good to have a business like that that is inviting and goes out of their way to let you know that this is our little neighborhood and we take care of your needs and this and that. That's customer service. That's what you're supposed to have. We're losing a battle though as small businesses uh, as we watch these bigger businesses pass legislation. And I'm going to hit on something that's going to cause a bunch of different stuff. But I was familiar with a law that got passed to where you could no longer shoot an animal. You had to use a certain gun to do such a thing. And all that that does is choke out the small farmer or the small business owner as far as them directing you into a financial disaster. Um, and you'll notice a lot of closing down of small businesses as these conglomerates move in and change laws, which is a big problem. Uh, we don't want all Walmarts and Krogers in the world. What we want a lot of different diversities, a lot of different things. The small mom and pop businesses locally could benefit from something like my idea about an ALS community centered program to help market and help get people involved and become a community again of tight knit people who try to keep their money local, try to capitalize on things as far as their own neighborhoods. Um, we have to be careful because a lot of times these conglomerates can come in. Like, for instance, Churchill Downs has purchased, that they own the Monday Correctional Institute, uh, which is um, it's in between. It's up on Gettysburg, but you have to wonder a little bit about these privatized prisons and why it is that a gambling-based institution is able to purchase, basically the penal systems or the reprogramming systems, if you will, of downtrodden citizens in other states. And then you look around at the casino growth around here, and you start to realize that um, there is a dangerous aspect to that. I'm not going to get into it, but there are certain things that could be overlooked as far as uh, the need for certain things to curtail. gambling, or even providing incentives for people who are active addicts, or who may have networks of friends that are addicts that they can market to and get to the casinos. Those are things that are beyond me. That just when I look at lottery commissions and stuff like that, and how interested are you really in fixing families with addiction problems, or do you just center on your competition at the time, to try to remove them? Kind of like the movie Casino, when you really think about it. Um, if this is how our state is going to operate as far as privatized prisons, then what are we doing at the schools? Because there seems to be a disconnect when you get out of high school between the kids that can go to college, the kids that end up going to the military, and the kids that end up going to work. If you look at the percentages, and I don't have them, you're going to see that a lot of times the poorer kids aren't getting the breaks to get to a place like an Ohio State, or the University of Dayton or something like that, that some of the bigger, more fluent schools are in different counties. So we have to really respect the fact that we've got good teachers. And if we can, create this citizenship award to raise awareness for people who teach us and are good civil servants, like the Sanders family has always been, we can focus in on helping alleviate some of the load that's on our teachers by teaching our kids on their recreational time and being able to keep their minds centered on the positive things in society instead of these video games and these cartoons that where there's cuss words and there's misogynistic messages and everything else. And they're really disgusting if you think about it. Um, and try to keep their minds on positive things like helping other people instead of what SpongeBob's trying to sell, which is Butterfinger bars and all this kind of stuff. And recognize teachers, teachers who have taught us through battles and stuff like that, and nominate them. Like have a teacher of the month every month, and have an award ceremony and recognize them, and do things like that to better our community and to stop the attention so much on the football, the money, and the scholarships, and kind of place it on an event where a community gathers together and gets some positive things done. I think it would be a wonderful idea. I would love to see our community do it. And our school is now under construction, and I've really looked at it, and the sports fields and the different sides and aspects. They could do some beautiful things with that, as far as renaming that field after someone like Charlie Sanders and his family, which I think would be a stellar idea. And I've tried to get my message out as much as I can. So we'll see what happens, and I'm going to keep doing these reports until somebody comes and punches me in the mouth and tells me to quit, because it's just the way I am. I like to throw information out there. I like to talk to people, and I love the feedback that I've been getting. Um, Remember, we're teaching our kids every day. When we wake up in the morning, we define ourselves by how we carry ourselves throughout the day. Our struggles do not define us. Our continuing of our struggles defines us. We are ready to struggle again today because we know we got the right attitude, we got the right message, and we got love in our heart. We're not here to hurt people. We're here to love and build people. And that should be the message in every community, I think. So I love you, and I'll never stop.